Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Civil Gore Podcast. This is episode 311. I am your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And we have it's funny to go back to the regular format. I feel like we haven't done it in like 2 months.
I know, I'm out of practice. I was like, what are we going to talk about?
I know, like, what are
we did such a long episode last time, too.
You pulled a Cody Rhodes from the WWE. He goes, where he'll be like Dallas, Texas. What do you want to talk about? Like the way he said it, he opens up his promos. That's all I could think of.
Horror fans, what do you want to talk about? I don't know.
Oh, I like it. That's a good one, though, Tim. You did that good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I
don't have. It's weird. This is a weird week because it's our Christmas season. It's our holiday season.
Yeah.
And we already told you we're taking a break before season 9 starts up back next year. So we were just kind of like cramming 2 little movie episodes here. We got possibly an interview lined up. But this one was really kind of off the cuff. This episode was a little bit off the cuff. We kind of decided on the movie at the last minute. No
real first chop other than, I didn't put it on there because it literally happened 2 minutes before we were recording. So if we were to record it on the time, I would have still been safe. But because my mother-in-law likes to play YouTube Christmas music, I got whammed.
Oh, I'm still alive.
I know, and I went. But here's the thing. I gotta go to. But who would have thought, right? Don and Ellie, who's been like such a great champion for all horror podcasts by always promoting stuff, and he's actually a Sammy because he's in the Sammy group that we're in. He has this amazing set of rules he gets from a buddy of his. So I almost might need to go to this. So I don't know what your thoughts on this. So because when I heard it, and Julie had come in 2 minutes after I heard it, and she's like, I don't think that was really the original version. I'm like, no, that's definitely George Michael singing. But she's like, yeah, but there was some weird extra, too, it was sped up and it was awkward. And so we listened to it. So I went to Spotify, and Spotify couldn't even bring it up the first 5 times. And how does Spotify not catch that song, right?
Yeah.
So then I finally did it again. Julie went back and played it, and we put the volume up, and it came up as Wham! Last Christmas. But when she listened to it back, there was this extra accoutrements to it. So it was a modified version of it. Now
it was some kind of remaster.
The rules say but it wasn't even remastered. It was worse because it was the weird instruments behind it going. So someone modified it probably to get around the rights of it because it's probably one of those. Those things, you ever watch those stupid video clips Facebook close of a movie and they speed it up really fast so people talk chipmunks?
If it be on YouTube, that would make sense because YouTube is so strict about copyright.
Right. It's so much to the point where Julie didn't even recognize Jose Feliciano's Feliz Navidad. I'm like, that's definitely his voice, but you're right. It does sound a little awkward too. So I'm like, I'm wondering if that counts. I got to ask Don and Ellie because technically maybe I'm just mortally wounded, but and not, well, I guess that means I'm dead, but you know what I mean? I'm like barely breathing. I'm on life support until I find out. So it's like Schrodinger's Last Christmas right now. I could be alive or I could not, depending on the ruling. I got to find out.
You've got to talk. You've got to talk to the master himself, Don and Ellie. I do.
I'm sure he's out of all the things he's great for. I don't think this is something he wants to really take claims for being, but he's become it whether he likes it or not. I'm sorry. He is now the George Michael Whamageddon expert that I go to. So I threw it out there. I'm gonna follow up. I did throw it in the Sammys that I died, but I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask for further clarification when I have more time. So maybe I don't know.
I have heard one cover, but I was safe because it was a definite cover. So
according to that rules that I posted, and then his addendum that had 30 other cool roots. I thought I remember when I scrolled through, he clarified that no, you have to hear the full verse, one full verse of it. You can't just hear it in passing,
Oh, really? Now, that's new.
Yes,
that's new. So for me.
His rules, he said his friend's rules, and of course, only Civil Gore could start off with 20 minutes of Wham discussion. But no, he
Does
says
everybody know what we're talking about? by the
yeah, we
way,
should probably specify. Tim, I'll let you take this, and then I'll go into what I heard.
yeah,
what he
because
said.
I actually was at we hosted a Christmas party this past weekend, and I mentioned it that I was still alive in the Wham thing, and people were like, "What are you talking?" Like people were, I had like 7 people look at me like I had grown 3 heads. They had no clue what I was talking about, so I had to explain
Are they
the
younger
game,
than
which
you?
was
Because maybe they don't even know what Wham is.
no, no, they were like our same age. And I
Oh,
was, and they had never heard of this game, but the game of it, the Whamageddon game, is basically, I think it starts December 1st, right? And
yeah.
the goal is to go as far as you can through Christmas without hearing "Last Christmas" by Wham, and that has to be the original version. And Brian will elaborate on any other rules. I wasn't aware of these addendum rules, but basically, if you hear it, you're out, and you have to basically admit that you're out. You
Yeah,
can't
it's honor
sabotage
system.
people. It's honor system. You can't sabotage people. You can't try to intentionally play it to take somebody out. It's all in
Yeah.
good fun. I made
Yeah,
it to
so
like the 21st last year. Like last year was my
last year,
best record yet.
I think I made it all the way last year. I can't remember now what happened, but here's the Whamageddon official rules that I got online. So it says the rules. It says the first rule, the objective is to go as long as possible, like Tim said, without hearing it. Second rule is the game starts at this. Oh no, okay, that's the same thing. It ends at midnight the 24th. So actually, on Christmas Day, you could technically hear it and celebrate, I guess, by listening to it if that's your way of celebrating. So the third rule says only the original version, like we said. It says you can enjoy, as this puts it, enjoy the fuck out of remixes and covers.
I don't know.
And it says
I don't know if I can
the fourth-
enjoy.
I know. I don't think I enjoy any version of it, honestly. Nothing against Wham and George Michael. They're talented. I just didn't like. I never liked the song. The fourth rule is it says you're out as soon. So here's the difference. He says you're out as soon as you recognize the song. But Don and Ellie's friend's version, he says you could hear it, but as long as you don't get the single bar, like you can't hear just last and then cut it off. According to his rules, you're okay. According to this rules, you're out.
So I always played hardcore. Like if you recognize it, you're out.
Right. And they said bonus rules you post on social media, and it says, but this one says, while we can't stop you from deliberately sending to your friends to Wham Holla, as it says, the intention is a survival game, not a battle royale. Which I love. But so here's the thing. I know it's funny because when we're in the car, we went to this drive-through light display in San Jose last night. And what they do is they tell you as you're driving through to listen to this radio station. And what's funny is the radio station actually syncs to the lights of the show. So we were going through and we didn't catch it right away. And Julie's like, I'm like, oh my God, I may get whammed through this event. And Julie's like, do you want me to turn it off? I said, no. I said, I can't do it that way. You got to go. It's like Golden Boy. You got to go out like, Jerry Seinfeld shirt. You got to go into the trenches. You can't just go hide from it because
that's how I play.
That?
Yeah, I do not hide from it. I don't like when we're in the car. We've done this the past couple weekends. Whenever we're in the car, we listen to Christmas music. We turn on the radio. We have one radio station that plays nothing but holiday music all through December, and that's what we listen to when we're driving. I don't try to turn it off. I don't avoid Facebook. I don't do any of that. I let it play out.
Yeah,
I think that's how you have to play it.
Yeah, you gotta like. I mean, if you're gonna play it, you gotta play it the right. You gotta play out there, like make it a challenge.
Like don't wuss out, like like hide from it. That's a weak way to play Whamageddon.
I'm gonna read you Don and Ellie's because he wrote it the funniest way. He says he goes to count as a full wham. A full bar of the song must be audible at the time of impact. He says either done maliciously or accidentally. Any partial lines that are spoken don't constitute a full wham. According to him, I'm fine, he said, because that was when I heard just the line by scrolling through. So he said that one was okay. But then he says, because remember I said I wasn't sure because I was like, there was one point like I was going to that holiday pub crawl next week, and I'm like, what if I hear it, but I'm so drunk I don't recognize it? Because it could be like it could be playing in the background, and you just don't register it because you're talking, you're drinking, whatever. And they said if you're such a state you can't remember, you're fine. If you get whammed and are cognizant of it, then yeah, you lose. But if you can't remember you've heard it, that keeps you alive. So it's like extra rules are the best. I love it. But right now I'm considering myself out until I get clarification of that rule because if it's a modified, if it's a modified version where like they altered it in some way. I wonder if that counts as more a cover, even though it's technically George Michael singing. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's
I'm considering
modified.
myself out at this point, though.
I mean,
So
if it was up to me, I would give it to you because it's not the quote unquote original version. It is the original version, but tampered with.
Yeah, like it's because, and that's what they do on those YouTube things, because you cannot play music on
No.
YouTube its full thing, because that'll get pulled down and I know how fast you get pulled down, because I think I posted something for the podcast once on there, and within minutes it was like, you have violated YouTube. I'm like, all right.
From the graves. I mean, George Michael's dead, and he'll still find you and make sure you're not playing his songs.
I know, right? You're like,
it's ridiculous.
He's like, nothing like a Night of the Living Wham. Like, I mean, that's like that's coming back. And I guess technically this is not wasn't a first shop item on there, but it just reminded me because I saw it pop up on my thing. But that place Horror Vibes Coffee, I've been like loving, and I make it an annual not annual, I guess whatever, like a routine stop, I should say, every time I leave LA now. They have gotten so popular. Omira, the owner, she is opening one in Vegas now. So there's going to be 2 Horror Vibes. So when we get our Tim Vegas Fest, where that's going to, hopefully that'll be open in time, because I think they're already like well underway of construction. But if you are in that LA area and you have not visited Horror Vibes, you're missing out. It is a horror lover's dream, because not only does she constantly make all these horror themed like drinks, but there's horror themed like food, and she's always decorating, and there's always like she has special events and giveaways and free stuff that's sitting out there sometimes. To like, I got that teacup poster and stuff, and a couple of those things cool. I grabbed extra to put in the our prize packs when we get that together. But yeah, definitely go visit that. I'm sure I'm gonna go there again this time when I'm down there for the holidays. So definitely one of my favorite places. And her drinks are original coffee drinks. They're really unique. Like Julie got something where it was like some kind of tonic water espresso soda mixture thing that she loved, and it was like, and I took a sip. It was really good. And then she's all about great. She probably makes the best pumpkin spice latte type things when I'm there. So that was good. Yeah, you would. I'm
drinking a Christmas cocktail we made for the party.
Oh, nice.
It is.
I was gonna say it looked very festive when you held it up before.
Yeah, it's a Christmas margarita. It's tequila, pomegranate juice. What is it? Is it cranberry? Pomegranate, some other kind of juice. I can't remember if it was cranberry or not. And cinnamon, honey, little bit of ginger. It's really good.
That sounds like amazing. You need to send me that. I think I need to.
Yeah, I'll continue the recipe. It was real. Some people add a little cayenne pepper for a little kick. We didn't do that because I was a little afraid of going overboard with that. But this was a hit. Like they drank it, and we made 2 pitchers of it, and one pitcher was completely wiped out. I'm trying to like slowly finish off the other one before it goes bad. But
we have an update. Really, I just saw it popped
live
up.
Update.
Yes, Jim, our buddy Jim Kurtz from Sammy's. He said, third rule, enjoy the fuck out of remixes and covers. He said, sound like a remix to me. So I might be
him, man.
I think I'm alive. Maybe it's not officially Wham. And Julie even said, she goes, no, I don't think you heard the original. So
I think you're alive.
I think I'm going to stay.
I would side with that too. Yeah.
Okay. And you know what? I go with my co-host and friend and some friends online. And my wife, they're all. I got 3 very important people there right now telling me that I'm alive. So I'm gonna say.
I will say this though, you are grievously wounded.
Oh, I am. I'm like
you're struggling. Like you have 1 HP left.
Yeah, I look like one of the wet bandits to stay in the holiday theme of me like
you're
struggling.
You're
out.
in bad shape.
Yeah, I am like burnt head with Joe Pesci burnt head. Like Daniel Stern bludgeoned. I am like crawling to the finish line if I survive this one. But
like if you hear even the most minute snippet of the original, like you just gotta take yourself out. Like it's
that's maybe the way we should like make our own official Civil War version where it's like that. Like you can hear like until you hear the first bar, like you get like lives almost like kind of a thing. We need to come up with an official Civil War.
One of my favorite things is
version. I meant to say
Civil War.
Yeah,
one of my favorite things is like making complex rules for very stupid games that people make up. Like we used to. I'm sure I've had to have told this on the podcast before, but we had the and I won't go into the full detail, but we had a lunch game where the last person who got their lunch was called the Betty. That's because, did I ever tell you that?
No, but
There's people out there listening going,
I'm
you've told
highly
this
intrigued.
You've never heard this?
I don't think so.
I may have told it on the text feed or something. If I've told it on the podcast, I'm sorry, guys, but Brian says he hasn't heard it, so I got to tell it again. So one day when we were at lunch, this is back when we were in the office. This is years and years ago. We would all go out to lunch together every single day, me and 3 or 4 coworkers. We found this name tag in the parking lot that just said Betty. So one of the guys jokingly put it on. And so we go and get lunch. Well, somehow he ended up being the last to get served his food. And this turned into a thing called, like, if you're the last person to have their food served, you're the Betty. And you have to wear the Betty name tag for the rest of the day.
I love that.
So this became our lunch game. And at some point we misplaced the name tag, but we found a Special Olympics medal in a drawer. And so that became our new, and it wasn't anything against the Special Olympics, by the way. It just happened to be a medal. But it had like the full, like, red, white, and blue ribbon, and like it would look like a gold medal. And so that became our new, and we put a label maker Betty on the back of the medal. And then then that became the new Betty. So if you were the last person to get your food, you would have to wear that medal. And then if you were the Betty, you would keep the medal until a new person became the Betty, and then they would have to take the medal, and that would be their responsibility until the next time. Long story short, it started getting really complex, all these rules, because you're like, okay, what if you're at a counter restaurant and you order and you just happen to be the last person in our group that's in line? Obviously, you're going to get your food last. Yeah. So we had to make an exception for, like, counter food was different. Like, that didn't count for the Betty. But if you were at a sit down and you ordered from a waitress, then if you were the last person to get your food, you were the Betty. But what happens if the waitress brings both plates out at the same time and sets them down? And then we were like, okay, it's whichever plate hits the table last.
Oh my God.
Is the Betty.
Did you get thrown out of a lot of restaurants?
So, yeah. So, I mean, this went on for literally for years. And we kept making addendums and things to, like, clarify certain rules, exceptions, and things like that. And so the way the Betty ended was in spectacular fashion. By the way, I am the King Betty. I'm the end Betty, the finale Betty, the Queen Betty of all the universe. We had ordered lunch from Jimmy John's. It was a catered lunch for our meeting. And there was probably 12 people in the meeting. Jimmy John's brings our order. My sandwich is not in there. It's not in there. They left it out.
You might have got sabotaged, though.
They forgot it. And so all of my coworkers were just dying laughing because they're like, you're the ultimate Betty. Like, they never even brought your sandwich. And so we're laughing about it. And then, like, to top it all off, so Jimmy John, like, we had to call Jimmy John's. They had to come back out with the sandwich, and they delivered it to me in this bag, and on the wrapper, instead of my name or something, it just said "messed up."
Oh my God! You, Tim.
And so at that point, I became the ultimate Betty, and they retired the entire game because they were like,
you have to retire it after that. There's nothing that beats it. But let me ask you a question. I have a question because I would take this game, if I was involved in it, I would take this very seriously and get competitive. Would you ever, like, if like you were tired of having it, would you order something super simple that you know would come first? And then, like, try and, like, lead someone else to order something way more better and complex just to get rid of it?
I never thought about that. I don't think we ever did that. I do know one time.
I'm just going to eat a roll. That's
I would
like
meal. A glass of water, please.
Yeah. Or what if you go to, like, Olive Garden and you just say, I'm just going to do the all-you-can-eat soup salad and breadsticks, because that comes right away. And you'll know. And it's a meal because it's big enough. And it's hard enough. I mean, you're having 3 things: bread, pasta, and salad.
Well, we had one guy was super competitive with it. I mean, like, he would get upset, like, if he became the Betty. And we went to this barbecue place one time, and it's one where you give them their
everything
name.
Rare.
But it's where you give them your name, like almost like Starbucks. And when your order's ready, they'll be like, Tim, and you just raise your hand. Well, he gives it, his name's Rob, so he goes up there, he gives his name. Well, they come out and they're like Brian or Steve, or they said some crazy, like, completely unrelated name. So he never, like, he waited for his food, never came out. They had written his name completely wrong. Like, it was not anywhere close to his name. So he finally got his food. He became the Betty. He filled out the customer feedback card, and all he put on it was, "I don't appreciate you making me the Betty." And he put it in the box.
Oh my God, I wish I was there to like imagine the review of that, like be like, what have you been serving? Like, what does this even mean? Who did this? Like, what
Oh,
joke?
I loved it. It was
Oh
the
my God.
funniest thing. So I don't know. That was classic. I'm sorry if I told this story before, guys.
Oh, I
just
never
don't know.
heard that because, but leave me to tell you a quick story. So, like, it kind of, like a little bit reminds me of the stupid thing we did at camp. Like, because, like, like, and whoever lost this game would have to clear up the table for everybody. And it was the dumbest thing. And I lost the first time because I was new to the camp, and all my friends that were there had already been there. So I came that first year, and like, so my they didn't think to tell me about it. I don't think they did it maliciously not to tell me about this thing. But like, I'm like, and afterwards they were like, oh yeah, and one of the games is like, where it's like people are just sitting there quietly and they'll just gradually put their finger on their nose, almost like Santa Claus. And whoever the last person to do it is loses. But to make it more like, so like, not just your table knows you lost. Everyone gets up and go, you, and they point and scream. So like the entire like canteen of people and the mess hole, whatever you want to call it, like literally is now sees it, and they start going in. So it's like you're like mad. If you have like one of those like problems of being embarrassed in public, this game is not for you, literally. And I got to the point where me and a friend of mine, we came up with a strategy of whenever we drink, we'd go like this and take a drink with our finger on our nose and look around. At any time we bring food up to plate, we'd have our finger in that position to kind of quickly get it. So,
Oh my gosh.
and you could call that cheating. I called it competitive strategy, but whatever.
Oh, man, those games the made up games are the best. They are the best.
We need to like, if we ever like get like to like a Patreon thing or something like going, like these are things we need to like give out as bonuses, like our weird rules of games or something.
Yes.
Like that. It makes no sense. But anyway, I guess we should probably move on to our movie.
Yes.
So we don't go an hour long of just
Yeah.
Brian and Tim childhood high school traumas. But yeah, so the movie we picked it's weird. So this is listed on Netflix is listed as just drama, but IMDb, which we kind of lead as our gold standard of what it's considered, it listed as like dark comedy, drama, horror, suspense, like thriller. I'm like, oh my God, what tag didn't they use honestly for this thing?
It's a very strange movie, yeah.
Maybe animation. And it's called Silent Night from 2021. And I'll let Tim do the thing, but before, and I'll go through my reason why I figured this still counts as horror, but I'll let Tim go through his usual housekeeping.
Yeah, so it was directed and written by Camille Griffin. It starred Keira Knightley as Nell, Matthew Good as Simon, Roman Griffin Davis as Art, Annabelle Wallace as Sandra, Lily Rose Depp as Sophie, Soap DeRizu as James. I probably messed that up.
Not Soap.
So probably not Soap. Sope
or something.
Sope.
I think there was an accent there that I was too lazy to.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, try and figure out. From the keyboard, sometimes you have to like hold it and like until you get there, and it'll go through all the. I'm like, I give up. It was not.
We'll go with Sope.
The way I wanted.
We'll go with Sope.
Sope. Yeah.
Kirby Howell Baptiste as Alex, Lucy Punch as Bella, Rufus Jones
I love Lucy
as Tony.
Punch.
Yeah, and Davida McKenzie as Kitty. I mean, it's a good cast, really good cast.
Oh yeah, I know, great cast for sure.
Synopsis here is Nell, Simon, and their 3 sons are ready to welcome friends and family for what promises to be a perfect Christmas gathering. Perfect except for one thing: everyone is going to die.
Yeah.
And I will say that this one, when it first started, I was like, Brian might have screwed up. There's no way this is horror. But I would say it's more, and I will say it's very almost horror adjacent. I can understand why the horror tag is on there because it is really a horrific situation that these people find themselves in. But I would classify it more as a really, really dark comedy. Really dark.
Yeah.
Comedy. But I will say we're going to give the spoiler the hell out of this movie.
Yeah, there's no way to talk about this without it.
No. So yeah, it's 3 years old. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Come back and listen to the episode. Or if you don't care,
it's only an hour and a half.
Episode. Yeah, it's a short movie. But Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about it because we got to talk
Yeah.
about the ending and everything. So
Yeah.
you have been warned. But yeah, this one, I'm going to be quite honest. I'm going to go a little red Tim on this one, not full red Tim, maybe pink Tim. Because it's not like I hated it, but I
Shades of
didn't.
Tim that have become from this
Yeah, the
podcast.
shades. I did not care for this movie, guys. I did not care for this one quite a bit, and I'll give my reasons why. But yeah, this one is. I think part of it is my fault. It's not you, it's me kind of thing. It's part of it is I just generally don't enjoy movies about the apocalypse, the end of the world, which Olivia is the exact opposite. She lives for apocalyptic stuff. She
Well, you
likes
should
anything
watch
with the
this
end
then.
of days. Yeah, anything end of days where, zombie, nuclear holocaust, disease wiped out the earth. She loves that stuff. She reads books about it. She watches it. I generally just stay away from it. I don't like it. It freaks me out. It stresses me out. I try to avoid it. I don't enjoy it. And this one was so dark, again, in a comedic way. It wasn't played serious, but it was so dark. The subject matter was so dark. I just found I didn't enjoy it. I really didn't. I couldn't get past the tone of it to enjoy the comedic part of it. Maybe there's some themes that are too close to home right now.
It's definitely that in some of these.
Yeah, so I couldn't bring myself to enjoy. Maybe I would have enjoyed it more 3 years ago. I don't know. But yeah, it gets really, really, really dark. I'll let Brian say what he thought of it before I go into more reasons why I didn't like it.
Yeah. So it's funny. So I'm with you. I'm not a big end of days kind of person because it does freak me out. And because being a child of the 80s, Tim, you probably remember, I mean, all the nuclear war threat we grew up with in high school. And, the day after that famous showing where they literally was on the news, like, do not let your kids watch. And I snuck in and watched part of it and traumatized me. I've always been afraid of nuclear war. Now, this is not nuclear war, but there is basically a doomsday coming. And they basically, apparently it's the world knows about it. It's this cloud of smoke or something where I guess the earth has just pulled out some kind of natural gas they have coming. And
it's like a poisonous gas is coming.
Yeah, poisonous gas, and it's coming, and they know the date it's coming in. And so it's like, there's nothing more traumatizing than that. And I'll go back to a reason when I was a kid. Do you remember, Tim, I don't know if you remember this, but I know you're really like up there in like events and stuff. Do you remember when that Skylab satellite was falling from the sky? And all they kept doing was, Skylab is falling, Skylab. And I remember I was a kid, and I was like, literally would burst into tears. I was terrified. Because my mom would be like, listen, it's going to be fine. You're not. And I had this image of Skylab at the time because I would hear it on the news, and I didn't really see that there was this giant spaceship type of thing landing. And then when I saw how small it really was, I'm like, oh, that's it. Like, I would literally have nightmares when I was a kid up until they said, oh, it's going to fall into the ocean. It'll be harmless kind of a thing. So I'm like, oh, okay. But like things like that, like, scare me. And I think that's why I did like this movie, because now watching all these horror movies we watch, and none of it really scares me in any way, to find something that actually kind of freaks me out still in a real way. I mean, I was just watching it. And I'm like, oh my God, I could not and I would have nightmares just through life about situations like this where like the world is ending and there's nothing you can do about it, kind of a thing. And so I think that's why they did it. And part of what I liked about it is there's this kind of style of like British humor kind of thing, and it's the UK humor that they have.
Very British.
And they captured it great. And I'm gonna jump ahead to maybe I'll save this. Now, you know what? I won't jump that far ahead. When we get to the ending, I'll bring it up. But just like knowing that this family, basically they're having this one last Christmas, and it starts off as, it just looks like, what I thought was done really brilliantly is like you're getting all this typical angst about from a host of someone hosting a holiday party, and there's these mixed people, and you could tell like, okay, this person doesn't really like them, and that person, and there's all this like anxiety. And if you ever hosted something, I know, Tim, you host a bunch of stuff at your house, so
we just did Saturday.
Yeah, you just did
Saturday.
Yeah. And you just had your party there, and so all kind of that stuff, there's the anxiety, and that's what you're seeing in the beginning. And then all of a sudden they suddenly drop a hit. Oh yeah, but everyone's dying, by the way. The world's about to end, kind of a thing. And then, you realize like, oh, and they're worried about like her not making their potatoes properly, and the kid cutting his finger over carrots, and the little bratty girl not getting her sticky toffee pudding. And it's like, and I'm like, oh my God, but it's so like, it's like they managed to capture like they kind of drew you in thinking, like you said, when you're like, if you watch this and had no idea what you were watching, you'd probably be like, your jaw would probably drop when you find out what that's like. And the funny thing is, this is someone I noticed someone else said this. This is Keira Knightley's second movie with this plot point. Because she did that one with Steve Carell that was way more like lighthearted, the Seeking for a Friend to the End of the World.
Oh yeah, I never saw that one, but I remember.
Yeah, Julie likes that one.
It.
Yeah, so Julie likes that. So we watch. I've seen it a bunch of times. So it's like, but can you imagine just like, so like they're all sitting there having this big final Christmas, basically. I say last, because then I don't know if I'll wham myself. But I'm surprised that song wasn't in it. And I'm like, oh my God, what if they play it in this? Can you imagine that? I've literally whammed myself by picking this movie. But no, there was other weird songs in this movie.
But Michael Bublé's Christmas sweater was in it, like in every other damn movie I watched this week.
Apparently there's a rule that's got to be in every movie now, no matter what. Seriously.
Even if you go back 3 years and watch one from 2021, it has to be in it. I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
They'll somehow retroactively place it in movies now, I think.
I've heard that song in 3 different movies this week, guys. And I don't watch a ton of Christmas movies. I just happened to pick 3 random movies, and every single one of them had Christmas sweater in it.
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
Speaking of that, you have to watch right away, as soon as you get a chance, watch the new Yule Log one, because
that's on the list. That's good. That's definitely on the list.
It may be one of my like favorite holiday horror things now, and that's all I'm gonna say. But when you see why, Tim, you are going to flip when you see where that movie goes. It's like like Jeff Whitmire. Of course, I texted him right away. I messaged him. I'm like, oh my God, he's like, oh my God, it's what that's all I'll say, because I can't even spoil it. I don't want to even spoil a drop for you. Just go watch. Trust me, watch it as soon as you get a chance. It's that good. But anyway, so this one comes in, and instantly, you have the kids fighting, and this one couple's fighting, and you get like the outsider kind of thing, because I guess the Lily Rose Depp, who, by the way, she's an amazing actress. Oh my God, did she inherit her father's acting chops? Because she is like great in everything I've seen her in. And in this, she plays like, there's just like this, like, she plays the outsider role so well, I feel like, in this, because she's like, I guess, new into the relationship, I guess, into the group. I mean, they know of her, I guess, but like, she's kind of,
she's also like really young, and they don't like that about her.
Yeah, she's definitely not like, there's all couples of like, you feel like they all went to college together. And she's like the young, kind of like, attractive young girl that the one of the guys brought. And so it gets really dark. And then when you find out, but the premise of this here is, so there's another like catch to this movie. So apparently, with the government knowing, at least the UK government, I don't know if every government does this in the movie. They don't really specify that, I don't think. But they kind of make it imply like the UK government was like special for doing this. I thought there was a line where they said something like this. But where they everyone that like, I guess, of the proper social standing that the government feels like it, that's another parallel to what we're dealing with today. They get a pill that they could take that basically within a few minutes, I guess, just like kills them, like in a kind of an anesthesia that kills them to some degree, or euthanize them. That's the word I'm looking for, not anesthesia. Rather than the suffering through the getting the cloud of the smoke, because I guess it's really violent and you bleed out of your eyes and you're coughing and it's really unpleasant. And so they're, so basically all the people there, they have their pills, and they know that like after their Christmas celebration, we're all going to take this. And Rose Depp's character is, you find out she's pregnant, and she refuses to take it. And she actually influences one of the sons, who's kind of like he's a great character, I think. This kid actor played this really well, because he's already, like, you could tell, he's like, first of all, his 2 other siblings are twins. So, he's already like separate from that, because if you ever had a household where there's twins and then a single sibling, you're always going to get the siblings together, and he's like kind of separate. Although they don't seem like they have animosity towards each other, but you could tell
he's different.
Yeah, he's different. And he's kind of like, already you could tell, like, if this movie were to continue without everyone dying from it, he would definitely go into politics and be like one of these like really like liberal, like fighters because
Yeah.
he kind of agrees with her. He's like, yeah, well, why are we doing this? Why are we taking this? And he's kind of like really like fighting against this whole thing because, yeah, and you can kind of see his point of view because it's like, why, it's like you're basically taking this, you're basically like just assuming that you can't survive. Even though like Keira Knightley, she's like, no, look, they've already checked. There's no way you're going to survive this kind of thing. And it gets into these really like heavy conversations intermixed with this holiday celebrating dark comedy and total fighting of it's like a weird mix.
I thought the theme, and I understand what they were trying to go for. They were trying to show like it's a parable about misinformation,
Yeah.
trusting the government, which I didn't really care for. There was an implication that you can't trust science either, which I didn't really care for because to me it was kind of anti-vaxxy to me because at one point he goes, well, what if all the all the smart scientists died out and it's just the dumb scientists are telling us this, and I'm like, I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way because I felt like it was kind of the anti-government didn't really bother me as much, but like the anti-science piece of it kind of bothered me.
And I wasn't sure if that's where they were going or they're trying to say that like the government was still controlling the scientists and telling them what to say. I kind of
possibly, yeah.
It could have gone that way too. It was that part I think was kind of left to the viewer to kind of pick up, I think, a lot of, because I think they really weren't focusing on that part as much once they kind of went through that scene already. Then it went to the rest of like everyone else's kind of like trying to resolve
I get
things.
Intellectually, I understand what they were trying to. I want to understand what they were trying to convey. My biggest problems with it is the people that you're following, all the characters are very unlikable. They're upper class. I'm not talking that they're unlikable because they're upper class. They're unlikable because they're like a dysfunctional family of upper class. And none of the characters in this movie, with the exception of probably the kid and maybe Lily Rose Depp's character, they're just not very likable.
Right.
And that kind of turned me off of the movie because I didn't care if any of these people died. And maybe that was on purpose. Maybe they didn't want you to care for them that much. But the other thing that bothered me, I didn't really like the whole factor of bringing kids into it because suicide's already a very touchy subject. That people tend to shy away from. And then when you bring kids into it and you're talking about a movie that is really depicting child suicide, just even as a quote unquote comedy or black comedy or dark comedy, it just, I don't know, it didn't sit well with me. And that they try to make it funny, like there's a sequence where the twins are about to take their suicide pills and they're complaining because they're too big and their Coke's warm, their Coke's not cold enough. And I see where the humor was trying to go with that, but it just didn't. I'm at the end of the day, I'm sitting there going, I'm watching two kids commit suicide. Like, this is not, to me, I'm struggling to find the humor in this.
And I'm wondering if they did that. That was one of the things I was going to say I was going to jump to, but now that we're up there to that, I'll go through my point. But what I was going to say is that was another thing. If you look at it, the kids, other than Art, which is the single, the main kid that had the twins brothers, the twins were like oblivious to it. Like they didn't, I don't even think they took, like, it's like they weren't even taking it seriously. And same with the other girl. Like she was more worried about her doll and other things than really like you're about to take a pill that you're going to die from, and like everyone you care about is going to die, kind of thing. So it's like, and like they tried to make it like, well, typical kids, they don't really know what they're doing kind of thing. But still as a but then again, I'm not a parent, you're a parent. So you see that, you see like, well, I don't like, you probably deal with hearing about kid suicides, just more of a level where the fear of it, through having kids yourself. But like one of the sequences I was gonna like that's like that through there that was kind of comedic is like father like running down to get the Cokes and they're sending him back and forth up and down the stairs like a British comedy, like a Fawlty Towers. And I'm like, hey, you're sitting there like, oh my God, why didn't you just bring the whole damn case up there? Who the hell cares at this point?
I know.
You're going, making sure you have the exact amount of Cokes going upstairs. Why is that not up, just sitting up there to begin with? And why is that? I think
the whole movie is I think they tried to, I think that point was hammered on very well, is that people will still worry about the mundane even when their entire world is about to end, and they're still bickering over issues that won't matter. in
Right.
24 in less than 24 hours. They still got the same family dynamics that won't matter in 24 hours. And I could see how that, I could see what the movie was going for in that respect. Again, I just thought it was a little heavy handed. I thought the ending was really predictable. I pretty much predicted the ending, like halfway through. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It was one of those things where, again, other people might watch this and enjoy it for what it is. And normally I like really dark humor. I really do. But
Yeah.
something about this movie, the tone, I did not like. I didn't care for. I just didn't find the humor in a bunch of people committing suicide. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe it's
Well,
just me, but
yeah, no, I definitely, yeah, no, I definitely got that. And the one thing they tried to do, if you notice at the very, very end, is they tried to like give everyone that like they realized that the last thoughts in their heads were all the thoughts they should have had, but it was almost like too late, kind of a thing. Too, they hammered
yeah,
that one in, like the daughter, like all her mom wanted was a hug, and she dies without even getting the hug, and then the daughter realized that after the mom's dead, oh, I should have hugged her, and gives her a hug, or like the other girl, like the one, like the one that was like kind of heartbreaking is the Lucy Punch and her girlfriend in there, where like she got so drunk that she threw up the pill and now was going to suffer. And so like Lucy Punch, and here this is a major spoiler, basically like stabs her so they could die at the same time, which was like, it's like a sweet kind of a thing, and it's like, and it's like, but at the same time you're like, oh, it's like, there's like, they're trying to get to that like the heartstrings at the last second there, but like you almost, it was like almost too much at the much coming on there, and then, or like the two boys are bickering at how much, if their soda was the exact same level, and then they all realize when they're laying there, like, oh my god, we didn't say goodbye to this person, we didn't say goodbye to that person, we didn't go. And that's like the worst thing, that's that message you're always like, oh, don't, never like leave angry, don't ever like, oh, don't go to bed fight, because you never know, you never want that last moment with somebody to be a bad thing. So it's like they
yeah,
really tried to hit it home, but like almost a little too fast at the end, like for it to have the impact it probably needed. But I mean, I
yeah. It
got
was like
it, but you know,
it's one of those. I mean, again, I understand what the movie was trying to do. I'm just not sure they quite pulled it off. I feel like I needed to know these characters more. I feel like it was rushed. Maybe there were too many characters too. I don't know, but it just felt like I didn't care enough about these people to really care that they had a change of heart at the end. And it was kind of just a little bit all over the place. I didn't understand. I mean, I understand, again, like I said, I understand the point of showing that people will do like the most mundane things, even though their whole world's about to end. But at the same time,
yeah,
it puzzled me. Like some of the actions and stuff just didn't make sense to me. I don't know. It was just a little all over the place for me. I didn't like the tone. I didn't like the, um, I mean, well, go ahead and spoil the ending. So I'm gonna go ahead and spoil the ending. But
yeah.
at the end, basically, the kid wakes up and you realize, or there's a last scene where he opens his eyes, which they
Yeah,
thought he was dead, but he opens his eyes, and I guess the implication there is that the gas really did not kill them, or wasn't going to really honestly kill you. It actually made him bleed and stuff out of his mouth and stuff, but he
yeah,
didn't actually die. So maybe they could have all survived had they not taken their suicide pills, which is kind of like a really dark twist ending. But again, it was like, I don't know what I don't know what the whole point of the movie was. I guess when I got through watching it, I was kind of surprised when it ended. I was like, what was the point of this? Like, we were told this family got together, they're celebrating one last Christmas, and then they're all going to die. And then that's exactly what happens. Like, I felt like, okay, why did I just watch this? And again, like I said, I know it's about misinformation and about parents controlling their kids' thoughts. Like, basically, like, we're going to tell you what's going to happen and you're going to do it. And you're
yeah.
not going to question it.
And we don't
But
know just because the eyes opened if he's going to survive per se either. It's
true.
like one
Yeah,
of those like,
it's kind of ambiguous, but
he still could have effects and die. Like
yeah,
but
I don't know. I didn't see the point of it. Again, I'm probably
oh my
missing
god, what
something
was the
because I was
name?
so
I forgot the
distracted.
kid's name now.
Art.
Art. Thank you. I said it like
Yeah.
5 times and I forgot it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Art. But like and and I think he was but they still gave him that traumatic moment of seeing the family in the car that he finds with the dead baby. That's the part that really upset me the most when they showed the baby dying.
That's where the movie kind of went into horror territory.
Right.
But
Honestly, though, I still count a lot of it as horror because, like, I just know, like, what I put. So when I see, I'll put myself into movies like this. I said, like, if this was me, I can't think of anything more horrible than just knowing that literally you have like a countdown to when you're exactly going to die, and you have like, but there's like right now you're presented with two ways it could happen, either a painful way, but you're not 100% sure that is going to do it, because it's never 100%, but the other one is definitely 100%. So it's like, but like, it's going to be painless. So it's like, and even then, do you know it's painless? You're listening to people telling you it's painless, but you could just still, I don't even know. And if you notice how they all took it so fast because they're like, if they think about it anymore, they wouldn't do it. And
it was too dark, man.
Yeah, there's just a lot of like weird. It's definitely a weird movie, but I mean, I would recommend it only for the sake of for everyone else to kind of see. I'd like to know other opinions of it. It's like because
it got generally good reviews. It did get generally good reviews, so I am in the minority when it comes to my dislike of this movie. But I didn't care. I just didn't care for the. I don't want to watch a movie about kids committing suicide. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a comedy. I don't care if it's British humor. I don't want to watch. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to watch it. It doesn't appeal to me, and that's kind of where I was. That's kind of where I landed with this. It just was like, I think if the kids had not been in it, I think there's a chance I would have liked it more. To be quite honest, I think if there were no kids in it, and this was all just upper crust adult people with their issues, I probably would have enjoyed it on a different level. But the kid stuff bothered me.
I wonder if they did that though to really like pack more of a punch. Kind of like playing
I'm
dirty
sure they
pool
did.
There. It's like, we're going to put kids in it, so you're going to have to feel bad,
It was a bold choice. I mean, it was definitely a bold choice. And it definitely makes it much more darker than it would have been otherwise, which I can't fault them for. But, and that's where, but I don't know, man. And I'm not, it sounds like I'm this prude that doesn't, I mean, I'm the one that like, I love it when a kid gets off in a horror movie because they never do that. And I'm like, that's like taboo and they broke it. And I usually love that. But I think this one was just too far on the realism side. It wasn't a supernatural horror. It wasn't
it's
werewolves offing a kid or something, a zombie kid or something like that. This was like something that could, in theory, really happen. And so
I mean, science has been saying the more we damage the earth, more likely something like this could happen. It's like,
so I don't know, maybe that just, I don't know, hit a little too close to home for me, man. I'm getting soft in my old age, but that's where I landed on it.
Yeah, it's really a red Tim. I don't think I don't think it's a red Tim as you thought. I think you just had a strong opinion. More puce. It's puce Tim.
Puce. It's a puce Tim.
See, now Olivia has to accept it because we used it in our vernacular for the podcast. So now it's
so weird. Like in the past month, on two separate occasions, I mentioned something was puce, which is like a purplish brownish color, and because I saw a car that was puce colored, and on two separate occasions, the first occasion I said, "Oh, that's like a puce car," and Olivia's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "A puce car." And she's like, "What is puce?" And I said, "It's a color." And she did not believe me that puce was a color. And so I had to look it up in the dictionary. How does she feel on
mauve?
I don't know. But I showed her in the dictionary. This is the color. Not 3 weeks later, I see another puce car, and I went, "Oh, a puce car." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "It's puce." We had the same basically argument over again.
Why is puce becoming a thing, though? Why is it coming like in a vengeance now? Like with the
it's
cars,
like Christmas sweater. Like, I don't know. It's like a thing now. So it's like Michael Bublé.
This is where I really think, like, let's see that movie, The Adjustment Bureau, where they have like the scripts, like people's lives. I'm like, is someone just writing it? Like, you know what? I think puce needs to come into this timeline right now because we haven't had enough weird stuff going on the past.
It's like a glitch in the matrix. I'm like, how am I having this same argument 3 weeks later?
Did you show her the
same argument?
Did you show her the scene in Santa Claus the movie I told you about where they
no, I need to. I know. That's where I
Yeah.
got it from. That's how I first learned
I
about puce,
know,
was from Santa
same.
Claus the movie.
That's where probably everyone our age got it from. It's not like it like was. It's not like it was ever in a Crayola box. I mean,
No.
124 colors, and puce was never one of them. I mean, so that's what I could see Olivia's point too. I mean, she could
Yeah.
say like, well, okay, like like
I've never
I
heard of
don't
that.
see it very often. It's not like where they, but and I know there are people that totally make up colors. Like my favorite, like I think I may have told this on the podcast before. I know I told it at work because there was one time I had to like so when I was working for our parts team at one point where we'd have to put in these brand new parts, and our system limit, you should know, you're in IT, so you know that there's limitations to certain fields in software. And so I had to get like the long description of these parts down into 55 characters only, which seems like it's pretty good, right? Except I was having to, there was this big vendor I was putting a ton of stuff in, and it had a number of descriptives and then a color. Okay. Well, this freaking company could not put one simple color in there. It couldn't have been blue. It would have been red. No, it had British racing green. So how am I supposed to abbreviate British racing green for people to know that that's what that is? And that's a made up color, I think, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's
it's
gotta be.
probably just green, but why does it have to be British racing green? How do I put that? I put BRTRA. Like, I was like, I give up. I'm like, I just literally put the green. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sure some color creator is going to be
It's
very
like the
upset with me, but
it's like the paint colors are ridiculous. Like
yeah.
hazy pearl and
Yeah.
persimmon
I
sunset.
I tell you, I know this sounds gross, but I would buy this in a heartbeat if someone just named a paint shit stain. Like if someone just like, can you imagine going to Home Depot? Yes, could you mix this up? I need 2 cans of shit stain, please. It's like, or like old urine. Like that's what someone should make, is like these horrendous colors to make, because people use them for like a haunted house, right? Like a home haunt.
Dehydrated urine. Like
Like old vomit. Like it just like that's what we need. Like, like kind of go to the Birdie Bot school of
yeah.
creating colors.
Yeah. Picked over scab. That's what I need. Just
Yeah,
picked
can you
over
imagine
scab.
that?
Oh my god, that'd be great.
I know. So Silvergore innovating always, no matter
Well,
what.
if the candle idea doesn't work out, we could do paint colors. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, right. Yeah, like horror paint things. Like, yeah, that's. Oh, great. We probably just gave it away, and now probably someone is hard at
Oh,
work
man.
at creating the perfect color of shit stain. Well, you know what? I did say I just want to see it. I didn't say I need to be rewarded monetarily for it.
Oh my god.
I guess we'll move on. And now that we're talking about that disgusting thing, let's go to a nice beer pairing, right?
Nice. Yes. Let's see what our beer paint. What I mean, what are you going to wash your suicide pill down with? And,
well, yeah. So this one, I went a different route. I've never done this before. I literally just had this beer the other day and absolutely loved it. I don't know about you, Tim, but around the holiday season, one of my favorite types of beer to have is a winter warmer. That kind of, usually it's filled with like spice and cloves and good flavors. And it's sometimes it could be anywhere from like 6% to like sometimes it's like 12, really
they have
strong.
some crazy ones. I saw a 14% one time.
Yeah, see, some do go really out of their way to do that. But this one was only 6%, and it was from Cloudburst Brewing in Seattle, and I took to Seth because he lives up there and he's heard of it, and he knows the brewery pretty well. And this was it was just called Distinctive Holiday Ale 2024. And I got a little flight over it because there's just, oh my god, this place we got to take you to when you come out. It's this little market in San Pedro Square section where they have it's basically like a food court, but like there's like a couple of real restaurants scattered around it, and in the center there's a big outdoor area that they play music and you can sit outside. And in one of there's these two main buildings, and one of the buildings has this like just a bar of 30 like draft beers, and it's like they have like legit stuff. Like they had like and then they have a fridge of like canned beers you can buy to drink there or take home. And they had some stuff like Focal Banger and Heady Topper, which you rarely see on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And so they had this one there, and I tried tried to have it. Tried to make a little flight, and we did a couple IPAs. And I'm like, I just want to I'm gonna try a winter warmer because if it's good, I'm gonna buy a bunch, for when I go visit my brother. And oh my god, was this one good? And I'm gonna read you the description, and now I see why I liked it so much. So It's like I said, it's from Cloudburst Brewing, Seattle, 6.7%. It's spiced winter warmer. It says so. Basically, the story is it says the day Sapporo decided to close Anchor Brewing, and Anchor was a huge brewery out in San Francisco that people loved, and they were famous, as you'll hear, for their holiday ale. So it says it was, they decided to close the Anchor Brewing was a sad, sad day. But a few weeks prior to that, they announced the discontinuation of their special ale, aka Christmas Ale, and that was a mad, mad day. And that was like it was this big bottle they always have, and it was always like their special like holiday ale that would be yearly, and it was called Anchor Christmas. It was really good. I got it all the time when I was here. So but anyway, it said so when we get that a spiced winter warmer is not an easy sell. It's and they were parentheses parentheses were like, please buy this beer. It says, but that version was essentially canonized. It was always rich in malt and interesting in flavor, often spiced, but never with the same combination. And packaged in an iconic bottle, like I said, was saying the bottle, or Magnum, with a new label every year. That beer was no longer exist. Well, what does that say about the storied winter seasonal beer market? And thus, we put it upon ourselves to create a similar rendition, filling that glaring singular hole on the shelf at your favorite bottle shop. A beer of malts, hops, spices, joy, and cheer. A beer you can drink one of, leave a second can in the back of your fridge, bring the other 2 cans over to your friend's house so they can drink one and re-gift the other one. So watch out, seasonal shelf turds. There's new special ale in town, and it's our distinctive holiday ale. And so, yeah, if you find this Cloudburst distinctive holiday ale, Tim, don't even question it. Just grab one. It's that good. I mean, I don't know if it distributes that far to you, but maybe I can find a way to grab one and get it to you.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Really, really delicious. And I figured it's like, what better way to have like a funny story and a good holiday ale while you're about to take a pill that kills you. One way to go out, right? But anyway, yeah. So this was that was our beer pairing. It was unique because the beer pairing inspired me to I'm putting this in the first chance I get to a beer pairing, and did a holiday-esque film. I'm gonna I'm gonna throw it in there right away.
And Cloudburst kind of.
Yeah, I know.
There's
I was
clouds
gonna
of
say
gas.
that was
works.
a happy accident. Cloudburst was as the brewing company works out well.
So our fan topic food question is: if you were placed in the same situation as the characters in the movie, would you take the pill or take your chances? This was an easy one for me. I would take my chances. I'm not going to take a pill to kill myself,
especially when government tells you to, right?
Yeah, there's no way. I think I would have been like Art in the movie. I would have been completely questioning this, and I would have tried anything, like literally anything, not to give up. Like if I got stuffed towels under the door and like try to make myself into a bunker or something, I would probably do that. Just take my chances.
I mean, Keira Knightley's Nell, she said, "Oh, it'll go through the windows," but like that like doesn't make any sense to me. That's not just like a gas then anymore, because that should not be able to penetrate things.
I think there was
right?
some, and maybe I read this in a review afterwards, that there was some implication that it was also contaminating the water supply. So eventually you would die.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Regardless,
Oh, that makes sense. But still, he was saying, why can't we just barricade the door? But if that's the case, you just buy a ton of bottled water and and get your apocalypse doomsday kit going, I guess. And
well, that's the other thing that kind of bothered me about this movie, and I think it was intentional. Like I feel like there were many ways that people could potentially survive this situation, even if it's in the bottom of a bunker. But I think that was intentional on the part of the movie, because I think the movie was showing compliance with the government tells you to do this, so you have to do it, kind of thing. And it was kind of drawing that contrast. I could kind of see their point there, but again, it was one of those things where I was already so mad at the movie by that point it didn't matter.
Yeah, and my answer is basically the same as yours on this. There's no way, especially the government we're about to get in 2025. I will not listen to anything they tell me without doing millions of hours of research if I have to. Like as soon as I heard that thing on the news, I bet you wouldn't see me again. I'd be buried in books and research and trying to find out my own thing, and literally trying to find underground scientists that would know. And here's the other thing, right? They knew the pill was certain death based off, research, because they're probably okay, this kills people, we know. The gas, like I mean, you don't know if people are like, it could be possibly immune. There could be people that just have the makeup that could survive this gas, or they could, like, some people, remember, like they said, like some people have the makeup that they can't get COVID because it's their DNA prevents it from latching onto their cells. And so, I mean, I mean, if you tell me, okay, this is certain death and this is probable death, of course I'm going to go the probable, because probable is not 100%.
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe there's, I don't know, this movie kind of gets
It's
into
very
some
loose on
weight.
the details of
It,
that
and
we
it does,
probably
but also
need to have. But
it also gets into some weighty subjects. Like I could see how this kind of gets into the euthanasia
yeah,
debate. Like, do you go ahead and take the easy way out, or do you wait and get riddled by cancer and suffer and know you're going to die anyway, kind of thing? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the easy answers to these are. I think that's something everybody's got to make that decision on their own.
yeah. It
And
also, yeah,
I
it
don't
does the
know.
rebellious teen too, because it's like, well, why am I listening to the government and why am I listening to my parents when I'm finally starting to get my own opinions, kind of a thing? Like, why are you
Yeah,
forcing me to kill me? It's like,
there's a lot going on. I'm not saying
yeah,
I'm not saying it's a, like I said, I don't think it's a dumb movie. I think
yeah,
it tackles some very heavy subjects, and it does it in a comedic
yeah.
fashion, but a little too dark for me. But yeah, I'm this one was an easy choice. I don't think I would take the pill.
Yeah,
Just
and you said something earlier that makes a point. I think, like, almost, and I'm rarely this person, because I like, and like I think Emily said this too. She it's something. It's like I kind of like my horror movies at a nice hour and a half clip, kind of a thing. Like, what was it? I was
uh
like, it was like when I saw, we were just talking about, what was it, Wicked was 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I want to see Wicked, but I'm like, oh, when I hear anything is that long, other than a Star Wars movie or like a Marvel movie, I'm like, oh,
I still haven't watched
like,
Dune 2. I still haven't watched
yeah.
Dune 2, and I literally, I mean, I want to see it, but like the time investment, I'm going, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, so I'm thinking, but I'm like, in this case, I feel like you almost needed another half hour to this to really, I think, like, hammer home all of it. There were too many points. Now, maybe that was the intention. Maybe they didn't want you to focus on one singular thing and to kind of get that feeling of like so much erratic stuff was going on that they didn't want you to, they almost wanted you to think after the fact rather than during the movie. I don't know. I mean, this is here's a spot where I would have loved this to be a screener, and they would have said, "Oh, we'll send Camille on to
Yeah.
talk about this movie,"
So talk
because I
about it,
think
yeah.
I think we would have had that. That would have been an hour-long episode of just asking you and I asking questions of like, "Well, was this gonna? Well, why would this happen? Well, why would?" But yeah, and plus, I think you and I are like of the mindset of like, we're people that are going to ask questions. Like, I just can't, like, someone just can't tell me something and I don't like wonder about it, like, to ad nauseum, like, I'm gonna like question things and I'm gonna look up stuff all the time and wonder why, like, wait, this doesn't make sense to me. And so, like, and same with Julie, like, I could see us both like not taking this pill and just like, no, we're gonna write it out. We'll write it
Yeah.
out together. It'll suck, but we're gonna write it out. And I'm like, and like, they don't mention pets in this, like like they didn't mention one pet, and I'm like, I couldn't give that. Like, I'm already dreading the day where we might have to do, where people do that to pets. Like, it's like,
I
are
know.
they, and like, so it's like, I mean, I think I'd just try and like, like, because most likely, basically, even if we do get like, you die the hard way, probably around the same time as the other person anyway. So I mean, maybe do a fighting chance, maybe great. Like, why wouldn't gas mask work? Like, that's the part I don't understand. Like, I
Yeah,
had a lot of
so I was like,
questions.
yeah, I was like, why does it not, why did the government issue gas masks to everybody? Or they thought maybe, unless the idea is like this gas is never going away. Like it's at some point,
Based
like,
off of, yeah, well, yeah, unless because the Earth was so contaminated at that point that there's just no other way. Like, scientists have been proving now, like through, like, like biodome, how you can get back to homeostasis with certain things, and and like, and they've have all these, like, what are all these biodomes doing if they're not researching this crap?
yeah,
It's like,
I don't
but
know.
and that's the thing. I'd be like, well, why? Like, look, you spent the time to come up with to mass produce these pills. You could mass produce gas masks. It's like,
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
mean, I
I
just have a lot of
understand.
questions.
It's one of those. It's very British. It was one of those things. Like I can understand. It's like it's a a whimsical situation. You're not supposed to think too deeply into it. You're just supposed to take the message for what it is,
Yeah.
and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I don't, man, it got too dark for me. I'm curious to anybody else that watches this. Like, did you find it too dark, or were you like, or did you find the humor in it? I don't know.
Well,
It's maybe I was
I'm
in the
sure.
wrong mood. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what mood you could ever get into to really accept this film like any other
Yeah.
way, really. But you know, I figure in a couple of years they'll make an American version where at the very last minute a scientist comes rushing through the killer.
Yes.
So it's like, so we'll
Yeah.
just wait till that and see how we handle it here in the U.S. because
Yeah.
that'll be the case. It'll be like this. It'll be like, I don't know. They'll send like I don't know, like they'll send some spaceship up there to like suck the gas up and like some big sci-fi truck. Yeah, they'll find a way to basically, to make it like a happy ending at some level. But
Yeah,
um,
exactly. The American remake will be some happy ending.
yeah, like
Um,
they'll wake up, they're like, this isn't gas at all. You know,
I will say I actually, even though I kind of figured out the ending, I did think it would be a little more blatant, and that at some point something would happen, like all these people kill themselves, and then like the gas would just go away or something. Like, I
yeah,
thought
like
that's
it would
what was
just
going
go.
to happen.
"Wee." Yeah,
Yeah, or
and it was
something.
weird. It was like these little mini tornado thingies. Like it was kind
Yeah,
of
it was
weird,
like
and then it
little
looked like a
tornadoes.
storm. Like I'm like, which is like I'm confused. Like what's the?
It was a very strange movie. You guys have to watch this one. It's even though we spoiled the heck out of it.
Yeah, but still, I mean, honestly, within 5 minutes, though, you kind of know. You like Tim said, he figured it out. You'll figure it out that just as fast anyway. I mean, honestly, once you get in, once you know the plot point is going to end, and the way the characters are acting, you can kind of see the way it's going to go for
You
each
know what? You know
character.
another reason I think I probably didn't like it as much is because remember that movie? Was it what was that movie that came out recently on Netflix? It was so controversial about the meteor was going to strike and
Oh,
everybody didn't
don't
believe
look up.
them.
I
Don't Look
think,
Up.
right?
Yeah, it reminded me so much of Don't Look Up that's what I kind of felt like I was just watching another version of that. You know what I mean? Like, because that movie, Don't Look Up, was a movie about misinformation and people not believe that one was actually about people not believing the government,
Yeah,
or even the government not believing the scientist. It was a whole other level of misinformation and trust, but it had that kind of same feel to it. So I was like, I've kind of like felt like I've already kind of seen this movie. So
yeah,
that was another thing. If I had not seen that one, maybe I would have been a little more accepting of this one. But
yeah.
oh, by the way, Keira Knightley, I've heard really good things about that new Netflix
Playing with her
movie.
in it. Yeah,
She's
that's what you thought I suggested too. That
I thought
was
that's
funny.
what
Yeah.
Brian had suggested. He's like, we're watching that Keira Knightley movie on Netflix. I want to go on. That doesn't seem hard to me, but I actually got, was it Black Dove or something like that? Black
Something. Yeah,
something.
she's so
Yeah.
good though. And who would have
Yeah.
thought she started as literally like essentially a really like known to most people as a cameo in Phantom Menace. You know, it's like
Yeah. She was basically like cast to be a Natalie
the look.
Portman clone.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I always like so many people. I've heard the comparison to her and Daisy Ridley, and I'm like, I see why you say that, but at the same time, I said they look different.
Yeah.
But I could see why like people would say that because they're both British
Yeah.
Star Wars people. I don't know.
All right, guys. Well, that was our first of our. I think we're going to do at least one more holiday.
Yeah, at least one
episode.
more in there, and plus probably the interview coming up. So you may have at least two more episodes, I would think. Maybe a third because we want to do Terrifier 3. I
Yeah.
just don't know. Like since I mean you can rent it. I know it comes out like for on Blu-ray the last week, but like that week's gonna be so crazy, so I don't know if I want to wait that week to record, but I also don't want to like since I have it coming, do I want to just buy? I mean, it's not the version I bought is not doesn't have the digital copy, so I was thinking of buying a digital copy anyway. So maybe if it drops a little in digital price next week, maybe we'll make Terrifier 3 our finale.
Yeah, I definitely
So
want.
once you
Well,
see that,
I was kindly gifted a rental of Terrifier
yes,
3,
you
so I
got
will
that.
definitely be renting it. But yeah. Oh, by the way, this is a complete aside that has nothing to relation to horror at all. But go watch, and I'm not a particular Coldplay fan, But go watch the Coldplay video for their song "All My Love" because it stars Dick Van Dyke.
Oh,
And
wow.
it is the most precious thing you will ever watch. He's 98 years old, and he is in this like extended music video, and it's really, in a lot of ways, it's honoring his life and his legacy, and it's really, really sweet. So go watch that one. It's called "All My Love" and it's by Coldplay. It's on YouTube. That was
Nice.
that was the best thing I watched all day. I was so happy to see that.
Yeah, you have to send a link to that so I can see it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you because it was amazing. I'll send it to the
Nice.
group. But yeah. So guys,
Yes.
we'll see you back here very, very soon.
Yes, yeah. So this, you're listening to this, it should be Tuesday, so it's a day later than normal. But we figured it was just the weekend just got like crazy, and we didn't get to record. We didn't want to list. We figured one day is not gonna. At this point,
Yeah.
with the way our schedule's been, one day is not gonna make a difference.
No, your releases may not be necessarily on Monday. They'll be at some point in the week. We'll try to get one out every week, but it may be, the day may differ depending on our weekend schedules.
Yeah, I mean, I think once January hits, it'll probably be like
We'll get back to normal.
it'll
Yeah.
be back to more normal. But yeah, we'll have our new formats. It's good to have that break in December. I usually take I mean, usually it's a break, but usually I kind of brainstorm through there and kind of bounce ideas off of each other, and we trying to figure out how we want the next season to go. So there's definitely a little bit of it's not like we're like totally not thinking of the podcast during the break.
Yeah, no, we definitely plan for the next season over that break and do a lot of scheduling. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, we'll see you back here soon. Have a happy holiday.
See you.